bowlers, even though Steve Smith's referred to the leadership group.
As I said last night, the investigation which was done by Ian Roy, our head of integrity, has found that there were only 3 players that knew of this plan, and we're absolutely satisfied of that. Look, I think I'm not going to go into specific detail. I think we've given quite a bit of detail in the release that relates to the findings that Ian has put before the board following his investigation. And given that we are at a stage now where sanctions have been offered to the players and they now have a time period in which they need to decide what position they take in response, it's not appropriate for me to go into any more detail or make any judgments on that other than the information that we've provided in that release.
Judge, can you clarify about the sandpaper, or was it sticky plaster?
No, the release that's gone out today confirms that it was sandpaper.
So is it a normal procedure to have sandpaper in the kit bag? Where did the sandpaper come from?
It's not. I'm not sure that it's normal procedure, but I do understand that sandpaper is often in the dressing room or in players' kit bags in relation to looking after and taking care of their bats. Sorry? Again, the release, I'm not going to go into the detail, but the release that we have provided today goes into specific detail on the reasons why the players have been reported and the basis on which the sanctions have been offered to the players.
James.
As I said last night, Darren Lehmann's the coach. Darren Lehmann was not in any way involved in the incident. Ian Roy has satisfied himself on that, and he continues as coach under his contract.
James, have you spoken to the players since they found out the sanctions?
I've spoken to all of the 3 players before they left, yes.
What was their response to getting the bans?
Oh, look, I think they're very sad and disappointed and remorseful for what has happened. And
can you call it cheating now that they've had the sanction?
I think under the code it specifically refers to these practices in which we have made the charges and offered the sanctions as cheating. So I think people want to use their own words, but cheating is certainly one of them that is probably appropriate in the circumstances.
What is the long-term damage to Australian cricket?
Well, I don't think that can be measured terribly easily, but clearly this has caused a huge amount of damage to the game of cricket as a whole, and certainly Australian cricket, and it's compromised the fans' confidence and faith in cricket, and it's really our responsibility, players, administrators, coaches and others, to reinstore that faith and confidence. There are millions and millions of Australians that love the game of cricket, and our job is to continue to inspire young people to love the game. No, I haven't considered resigning. I've got a job to do, and this only strengthens my resolve to help the game.
James, can you just explain the legal situation? What are you talking? Because that looks like a cover-up. That's what the ex-players, commentators are saying. He gave a message, and then the sandpaper went down the crowd. Can you explain what happened there? Because there's a lot of public that seems like he's involved in a cover-up.
Look, I don't want to get too involved in the specific comments or the findings of the review, but I do, in Darren's defence, I do want to just clarify that specific matter, and I want to say that he sent a message to say what in the hell is going on. He didn't use hell; he used another word, but what in the hell is going on? That was found to be through Ian's. Through Ian's investigation, found to be the fact, and I want to make that point very clearly, that Darren made those comments, and Ian was certainly satisfied that Darren wasn't involved and didn't know anything of the plan.
James, you've had further investigation now. I'm going to ask the same question I asked last night. Is there concern now that it may not just be the one incident?
I don't think there's any evidence that we've seen or heard in the investigation in Ian's work, and clearly the primary focus of his investigation is very much about the events of Cape Town, but also his discussions and his responsibility was to ask questions more broadly. And I guess on that, Mike, just to take that a step further, if there are credible allegations or suggestions to the contrary, we have a responsibility to investigate them. So it doesn't necessarily stop here, but at the same time, through the investigation thus far, we're satisfied that it does appear to be an isolated incident, but at the same time, if there are credible allegations or other suggestions, then we have powers under the code to investigate and take it further.
With your experience, don't you find it hard to believe that the ballers are not aware of what's going on, considering they were trying to get the food reverse?
Well, again, I'm only relying on the work of the investigation and the comments, and as I said last night, it was found that only 3 players were aware of the plan. Oh, look, I think there's, again, if you go to the release, you will see that it specifically mentions concern as to some of the comments that were made and not being totally transparent. There was an element of courage of taking on, I guess, the point and owning up to what happened, but there was also, unfortunately, an element of mistruth in that process, and they were things that were taken into consideration when the board went through its process of finalising and then offering sanctions. Thank you all. Thanks.